Are you sick of spending hours and hours with your head buried in a textbook only to get grades that just don't feel like they match the effort? Well, what if I told you there's a way to study less but actually score more? Today, we're going to break down a really powerful strategy that could totally change the way you study. Let's jump in. Seriously, have you ever wondered about this? You see those students who seem to just coast by, putting in what looks like zero effort, and somehow they pull off amazing grades? Meanwhile, someone else is studying day and night and just barely getting by. It feels so unfair, right? But what if it's not about luck at all? All right, let's pull back the curtain and find out what is going on here. Let's talk about the backbencher's secret. The real difference maker isn't how many hours you clock in. It's the strategy you're using. You see, those high-scoring students have, sometimes without even realizing it, stumbled upon a much smarter, more focused way to learn. They're not magicians. They're strategists. So to really understand their strategy, first we need to talk about a huge mistake that so many of us make. I'm talking about the study everything myth. This probably looks familiar, right? This is what most of us do. We look at the entire syllabus, every single page, and we think, I have to know all of it perfectly. So we try to give equal time to every single topic, every chapter, every little footnote, and what happens? We spread ourselves way too thin, we get totally overwhelmed, and we end up with a shallow understanding of everything and a deep understanding of nothing. It's just a recipe for burnout. But here's the good news. There is a much, much better way. So let's talk about something called the 80-20 rule. This little principle can completely change how you see your syllabus. Okay, so the official name is the Pareto Principle, but everyone just calls it the 80-20 rule. Now, it might sound a little academic, but the idea is actually super simple. It basically says that for almost anything in life, the vast majority of your results, like 80% of them, come from a tiny, critical portion of your efforts, only about 20%. This idea comes from economics, but trust me, it's a secret weapon for studying. And here it is. This is how it applies directly to your exams. Just look at this. That little bar on the left, that's just 20% of your syllabus. But now look at that massive bar on the right. That tiny 20% is responsible for a whopping 80% of the questions that are actually going to be on your exam. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. It means that not all topics are created equal, not even close. A small, vital chunk of the material holds most of the points. You know, a really good way to think about this is with a cake. Your whole syllabus is this cake. About 20% of it is the base, the actual cake part, the dense foundational stuff that gives the whole thing its structure. These are the core concepts that pop up on exams again and again, year after year. The other 80%, that's the toppings, the frosting, the sprinkles, all the decorations. They're nice, sure, but they're not the main event. The smart student focuses on making sure that base is absolutely perfect. Okay, so that all sounds great, right? But the big question is, how in the world do you find your core 20%? Let's get practical. It's actually a pretty straightforward three-step process. First, you've got to do a little detective work. Gather up as many old exam papers as you can find. If you can get the last 10 years, that's golden, because it gives you a ton of data. Step 2 is the most important part. Analyze them. Go through every single paper and literally make a list of the topics and questions that keep showing up. Look for the patterns. And then, step 3, you found it. Those topics that repeat over and over again, that's your core 20%. That's the base of your cake. So, once you have identified that core 20%, you have a brand new study blueprint, one that is all about working smart and getting maximum impact. So here it is, the smart topper strategy. Number 1, stop trying to read everything. Just stop. Instead, you're going to pour about 80% of your focus and your energy into that core 20% you found. This lets you go deep and actually master the concepts that really matter. You want to know that base material inside and out, backwards and forwards. Look, this isn't about being lazy. It's about being strategic. It is the definition of working smarter, not harder. When it comes right down to it, it's just a simple but really powerful shift in your thinking. You're moving away from counting the quantity of hours and focusing on the quality of your focus. When you study smart, you will score more. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. For your next exam or your next big project at work, what is the vital 20% that's going to get you 80% of your results? Your job is to find it and then focus on it like a laser.